Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
India's top 12 B schools. 3 wildcard entrants. 5 months of rigorous brainstorming and 1 mega stage for marketing excellence. Lessons in Marketing Excellence, a joint initiative by CNBC TV18 and India's largest consumer goods company, Hindustan Unilever, is in its 5th season. And the stage is set for it to be bigger and better than any of its predecessors. For the first time ever, winners of this year's Lime will get an opportunity to compete with 9 others from across the world in Unilever's biggest case study competition on an international platform. A first-of-its-kind global event, the Unilever Future Leaders League will crown the champion of champions among marketeers. Season 5 saw the highest number of entries in Lime's history with a record 3,523 registrations compared to just 521 when the series got underway in 2009. Traversing through India, Lime drew out brilliant ideas and solutions through campus rounds where different teams were given real-life marketing challenges from some of the world's well-known brands. Bringing in the wildcard round this year added 3 more institutions to the 12. From among 2,000 entries, the 3 wildcard spots were selected on the basis of their marketing strategies for TG, Unilever's global hairdressing brand. The semi-final round saw the best and the worst of everyone stressing on marketing solutions for Dove. Tireless banter, constant mocking, intense critiquing, sorting out the clutter to make it to the finals. From 15 to your final 4. XLRI Jamshedpur, FMS Delhi, IIM Bangalore and JBIMS Mumbai. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand finale of the 5th season of Lessons in Marketing Excellence.
Welcome to the grand finale of Hindustan Unilever and CNBC TV18's Lessons in Marketing Excellence. In its 5th season, this inter-business school marketing and business competition over the years has given students from India's best B schools an opportunity to stretch their imagination and define their future.
Ad Guru Leo Burnett once said, make it simple, make it memorable, and make it inviting to look at. And Lime has provided that opportunity to our B school aspirants over the years. This year, the theme of Lime puts India at the center of the global map. We're talking about Indian brands that are going global and global brands that are coming to India, all looking to replicate their success on foreign shores. Before we move on to the main agenda of the evening, I'd like to invite the man who has defined and redefined Network 18 over the last 2 decades. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Editor-in-Chief for Integrated Business Newsroom at Network 18, Senthil Chengalvarayan.
Thank you all for being here. You know, any election is extremely exciting, and I've been very fortunate that I've observed and reported on the last 7 general elections. But frankly, I haven't been as excited about any election as I am about this one. So I can't tell you how excited I was, thrilled, when the Election Commission consented to give us a case study for today's final. This is a milestone day for Lime. It marks 5 years of a partnership between CNBC TV18 and Hindustan Unilever. It's a partnership that has resulted in one of the finest editorial programs we produce at CNBC TV18. Both of us at CNBC TV18 and HUL have poured countless quality man-hours into this partnership. We have debated, argued, sometimes shouted at each other, but at the end of it, we have a very fine product. Mr. Sanjeev Mehta, we are proud to have you and your wonderful team at HUL as partners in this extremely fulfilling journey of 5 years. Thank you again, all of you at HUL, for being here this evening in such large numbers. And now to our finalists. You represent the finest of young India. In a little while, we in the jury, sitting there, will have a terrible task. We will have to pick one of you as winner. To us, all of you are winners. This year, you will help the Election Commission fulfill its purpose of getting all eligible citizens enrolled and voting in an informed and ethical manner. 780 million voters, It's not an easy task. Now, the task as marketers has, over the last 5 years since we launched Lime, got, depending on which way you looked at it, either terribly more difficult or awfully more exciting. Technology has proved the biggest disruptor ever. It always does. Technology is always a big disruptor. But in the last 5 years, it's just completely turned the way you can reach your consumers, changed it so drastically in a way that's never seen parallel before. Just look at one face-off. There's a debate out there whether Twitter and Facebook are going to survive. Whatever the outcome of that debate, what's undeniable is that the impact of social media on our lives in the last 5 years has been tremendous. With that, let me wish you all the best. We have a horrible task, as I told you in the jury, but we'll try and do our best. All the best. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Senthil. Lessons in Marketing Excellence stands tall today, owing one half of its success to the successful partnership between CNBC TV18 and the Hindustan Unilever Group. Both companies having found common ground in their vision to invest in the country's future. CNBC TV18 is indeed delighted to have HUL as our partners in building this dream together. We'd now like to invite on stage a man who's further funneled the Lime dream and has facilitated its growth from strength to strength. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the CEO and Managing Director of the Hindustan Unilever Group, Mr. Sanjeev Mehta.
Namaskar and good evening. Gives me immense pride to be here this evening. When 5 years back, when this concept was conceived, the intent was to give a forum, a platform to the best minds, to the budding marketeers to come out with creative ideas, not only to solve some difficult business issues, but increasingly come out with ideas which might help with some pressing national issues. And over the years, we have seen at this finale some of the great issues being discussed and great ideas being tossed about. From Aadhaar to affordable housing, from railways to India's quest for gold, I think they have been very pertinent and contemporary topics. Today, we stand just a few weeks or a few months away from the next elections. And we have seen across the world that democracy flourishes only when you have institutions of democracy. We are fortunate that in our election commission, we have a body which is fair, which is independent and vigilant. Immense pleasure to have you, sir, with us, Honorable Chief Election Commissioner of India. Thank you, sir, for being with us. To the teams, you have come here because you're amongst the best. Good luck, and may the best team win. Thank you, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Sanjeev. You know, Shruti, I've always been very thrilled about the final case study. But this year, I genuinely think tops it all. Lime is proud to be associated with the Election Commission of India, who has given us the case study for the finals. So let's take a look at what our 4 teams have to do.
As the world's largest democracy gets ready to exercise its right to franchise in April, the Election Commission of India is gearing up to ensure that each of the estimated 780 million eligible voters are able to cast their vote. At an organization level, the EC has to organize polls at 545 constituencies, 1 million booths, train over 11 million personnel and manage the deployment of 1.14 million electronic voting machines. All this battling the challenges posed by difficult terrain and diverse demography. At a marketing level, the task at hand is to generate buzz, update election rolls, get first-time voters to enroll, educate people about the importance of voting, and finally ensuring that they come out and vote on polling day. All this while ensuring free and fair elections. The challenge for our final 4 teams is to envisage and present a project plan on how the upcoming parliamentary elections can be held as per the Commission's mandate. Put forth new ideas and innovative solutions that combine strategies to overcome its age-old as well as new challenges, in addition to delivering a higher voter turnout while promoting free and fair voting.
The Commission's sacred intention that not a single vote or a voter is to be missed out, is to be neglected, and due process has to be maintained. The elections have to be absolutely free, fair, as it has been all the time, credible, transparent, peaceful, and participative. These are quality aspects which the Commission has taken upon itself and which flows out of the constitutional mandate.
I feel that it's a great initiative, and I would tend to look at it also from the point of view of the Election Commission of involving the young people. That of course is one very, very interesting maybe outcomes of this particular thing, but I am also looking at it from a learning perspective for the Election Commission of India.
Without further ado, would like to introduce you to our jury panel for the finale. From the Election Commission, we have the Director General, Akshay Raut, the Deputy Election Commissioner, Alok Shukla, from Hindustan Unilever, we have with us on the panel the Executive Director for Food, Geetu Verma, and the Executive Director for Home and Personal Care, Hemant Bakshi.
Also joining the jury panel is the Executive Chairman and National Creative Director at Ogilvy and Mather, South Asia, Piyush Pandey. And as the in-house juror, we have the Editor-in-Chief for Integrated Business Newsroom at Network 18, Senthil Chengalvarayan.
It took us 12 campus rounds, 3 wildcard teams, and a mega semi-final with 15 teams competing with each other while attempting to crack the case study by Dove to get our final 4 teams. The winners tonight will win themselves Lenovo laptops and goodies, Frederic Constant wristwatches, and a grand cash prize of 10 lakh rupees.
Our first team today cleared the air and the hotel space for cleartrip.com, allowing them to cross boundaries apart from their statement, love yourself, dove yourself, at the semi-finals that earned them their well-deserved spot at the finale. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first finalist team for the evening, the trio from FMS Delhi, here to bring a twist at Lime Season 5, Team Nimbu Marke.
Well, team, you know the rules. You have 5 minutes to make your presentation. At the end of 5 minutes, we'll sound the buzzer indicating the end of time. That will be followed by hopefully a grilling session with our 6 jurors over here. Words of encouragement, David Ogilvy say, play to win, but enjoy the fun. Your time starts now.
We spoke to 3 stakeholders of the Election Commission: voters, political parties, and EC workers to identify gaps between the existing state and the ideal state for democracy. We discovered issues at the concept and execution level. These led us to developing a strategic roadmap with tactical solutions to correct the democracy deficit in India.
What issues do our stakeholders have with the existing state of democracy? From the voters' perspective, people either don't want to vote, they cannot vote, or face issues while voting. Citizens don't want to vote because there's a lack of awareness and trust in the democracy itself. Recognition of the Election Commission as a facilitator for democracy is also very low. Citizens cannot vote because of 2 reasons primarily. Firstly, enrollment can be tedious due to lack of information and errors. Additionally, voters are unable to participate due to inconsistent electoral rolls, inaccessibility, and safety concerns. While voting, lack of information and undue influence prevent ethical voting. Moving on to the next stakeholder, all that political parties want from the EC is for them to actively ensure maximum voter participation and fair play. Lastly, our third stakeholder, the EC officials themselves, face issues in managing data because of the way the EC is structured. Manual reporting on poll day hampers efficient poll management. Training huge numbers of first-time poll officers is also very burdensome. And lastly, lack of motivation and incentives for booth-level officers also hampers the enrollment process.
To summarize, we found issues at 2 broad levels: concept and execution. Conceptually, lack of awareness and accessibility are weak areas. From the execution standpoint, complexity and inefficiencies plague the system. To reach the ideal state of democracy, our proposed strategy revolves around 4 pillars: simplicity, efficiency, visibility, and accessibility. SEVA, SEVA. To further promote positive voter behavior, the strategy SEVA works to minimize process obstacles. By tweaking the 7 Ps, we propose to implement this strategy in 2 broad parts: voter management, where the focus would be on education and enrollment to initiate voter action, and election management, where we would be focusing on effective and efficient facilitation to maximize participation.
Now let's deep dive into our 2-phase solution of SEVA. The first phase of voter management is an ongoing process. Here we suggest to build a centralized electoral roll database which would improve data efficiency and accuracy. Next, for the voters, we suggest increasing voter touchpoints through multiple voter facilitation centers in strategic locations and an online portal. This would ease enrollment, modification, and query resolution. Our campaign, True Indian by Vote, questions your Indianness if you aren't a participating voter. ATL and BTL manifestations of this campaign, tailored to awaken different segments, bring out the relevance of representative voting for every Indian and urge him to be a part of the nation's transformation.
Your 3 steps, if you just break it down to into 3 for each, what are you suggesting for, say, getting more voters to get enrolled?
So for the first enrollment phase, what our main aim is easy access and communication. These 2 things will help you get enrolled. So increasing voter touchpoints and communication awareness, these 2 things will help you getting enrolled. Motivation, on the other hand, is more process driven also, and communication. So their focus is on motivation and facilitation, where solutions such as migrant voting, mobile voting, these things come into play, where facilitation is your key.
You have mentioned about patriotism as a collective motivation. If you are Indian, you vote. But have you gone really deep into it? Is it an individual motivation, like profit? What is there in the voter, for the voter in the elections? Is that more important in your study, or a collective motivation like patriotism, a sense of duty?
So we spoke to voters and we asked those who vote, what makes you vote today? What makes you go out there and cast your vote? The response to that is that we need to choose our representatives because they are the people who make the government. And to quote them, "Abhi jo theek India mein nahi ho raha hai, wo government ki wajah se shayad nahi ho raha hai." So there's a strong belief in young India and in growing India that if we set our politics right, if we choose the right people, we'll be on the right path to growth. The recent movements that we've had with Anna Hazare, the anti-corruption movements, they all testify to the fact that a vision for growing India is there within each Indian, and it's an individual vision that we see for ourselves as well as for the country as a whole.
Do you see the enrollment issues different in rural and urban, and what are your specific recommendations for each of these?
At the rural level, I think there's a step even before enrollment. So there needs to be an awareness of democracy. So maybe they understand democracy, but also of the implications that it has to their lives. There are women in rural India who don't understand this at all. So even before enrollment, it's important to get them to understand that. When it comes to enrollment, I think it's important to convey to them where they're supposed to get their forms, how are they supposed to fill it, what qualifies as a proof of ordinary residence, which is a need for you to have a voter epic card, and also the power of an epic card. So an epic card is your proof of your identity. That is something that rural India connects with. Moving on to urban India, although they do understand the need for enrollment, they have issues with the process. We're a time crunch generation. So we find it difficult to go there, fill a form, then go there, deposit your proofs, go there again to collect your epic card. So as soon as you simplify the process, you give them a self-registration online, they go ahead and do it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, FMS Delhi.
Thank you.
A huge round of applause for FMS Delhi. Our second B school today has not had a great strike rate at Lime in the past, but this year has proved different. This trio from XLRI took Puma off the charts in the campus round and thereafter sprinting through the semis. Please welcome Team Engineers from XLRI Jamshedpur. You know the rules. You'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation. After that, we'll sound the buzzer. That indicates the end of your time, and this will be followed by a Q&A session with the jury. So pull up your witty socks, and your time starts now.
With a clear mandate of focusing on the upcoming 2014 Lok Sabha elections, we have tried to provide implementable strategies and solutions which can be rolled out over the next 2 to 3 months. The key insights that this led us to was the low voter turnouts and low awareness level among voters emerged as major findings. In addition, while the voter registration system is fairly comprehensive, voters perceived it as to be cumbersome vis-a-vis other processes like acquiring PAN cards or getting the driving licenses.
Our objective was twofold. One, to aim at increasing basic awareness among the voters, and two, graduating the voters along every step of this decision-making journey from awareness of the voting process to intention to vote to actual voting behavior on polling day. Our first recommendation is for strategic tie-ups at 3 levels. The first of these is for schools and colleges, where you tie up with young voters or people who will become voters in the years to come. Another major segment that we saw was corporates and urban professionals who are generally apathetic or indifferent about the system. The third tie-up that we proposed was with NGOs and non-government organizations which are already active in the area of voter awareness, voter registration and facilitation. Apart from these, we proposed 2 targeted media campaigns. The first is called Kya Aapki Family Ne Vote Kiya, aimed at urban voters, where we use the children again as drivers based on the subjective norm to get their parents to vote. And secondly, a rural campaign targeted specifically at women voters called Vote Karo Desh Bajlo to bridge the gender gap. We also propose using digital to reach out to the target audience, resonating with them, setting benchmarks and communicating the initiatives that the EC takes to make the process more voter-friendly in an effective manner.
Our suggested interventions are aimed at making the process voter-friendly and converting the intention to vote for urban voters into action. One of the key pain points is long queues at the polling booth. This can be minimized through suggested time slots for voting, having voter rolls in alphabetical order to cut down on research time, and preference to senior citizens in the queue. Criminalization can be controlled by starting from the grassroots levels like panchayats, empowering EC through stronger legislations, and setting up fast-track courts for delivering verdicts in such cases. Widening the monitoring through including families and spouses to file affidavits along with the candidates. For tackling money misuse, increase the time period for detecting manipulations, make ID disclosure compulsory for candidates, outsource auditing to a third party, bring the financial accounts of parties under the RTI.
If I was to ask you to finally say there is one big pain point which stops people from voting and reduces the percentage of people who vote, what would that be?
So what it essentially boils down to is a lack of awareness. To give you a very simple example, in most cities, people would know where the passport office is located or where the RTO office is located. There isn't always clarity in the voter's mind in terms of where he has to go to get his electoral card made. The second thing that we see is that the electoral card often serves as just a photo ID card. So the intention is there, people register, but then they don't turn out on voting day. So those are the 2 major points in terms of awareness that we address.
So now, why wouldn't you actually do a campaign which just helps people understand where the nearest booth is, how do you get there? Why would you not do something as informative as that rather than get into this Aapki Family Ne Vote Kiya Ke Nahi?
So the push for the Aapki Family Ne Vote Kiya Ke Nahi campaign is to reach out and make people aware of the fact that people should go out on polling day. These other issues cannot be addressed through national level campaigns. These need to be more specific. So we've also proposed that the EC reach out when we say talking about tackling information asymmetry at the ground level, for the EC to be a little more proactive and get the voter, get these NGOs. This is what we propose through our strategic tie-ups.
You know that many times corporates and NGOs are seen to be close to a particular political ideology. So will partnering with them tarnish the non-partisan image of the Election Commission?
When we say partnerships, we do not mean financial partnerships. We do not mean any revenue sharing or those kind of agreements. What we mean is that everybody stands up and does their duty as an Indian citizen to support whatever measures the EC is taking.
Don't you think the partners may also, in addition to saying that you should go and vote, may also say that you should go and vote in favor of a particular candidate?
So that's where the role of the EC as a monitor would come in. So when we say that you tie up with these people, we mean that the EC keeps a very close watch over how empowered they are in terms of taking these calls.
Thank you, XLRI. Our third team this evening is what you would call it playing on home turf. This team from Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies or JBIMS has proved that when it comes to selling handbags, you don't have to be a woman to market it. We'd like to call on stage Disco Ninjas from JBIMS Mumbai.
know the rules. You'll have 5 minutes to make your presentation. After that, we sound a buzzer that indicates the end of your time. This will be followed by a Q&A session with the jury. And as they say, winning is only half of it. Having fun is the other. Make most of your 5 minutes. Your time starts now.
Free elections are those which are unobstructed by pressures, internal or external to the election system. Release of polling station-wise results may lead to candidates harassing specific voter groups post-elections. To address this, we propose shuffling of EVMs during counting and disabling Form 20.
Challenge of violence exists from both internal and external sources. People are scared to vote, fearing violence post-elections. To address this, we introduce a cool-down period by deploying paramilitary forces post-elections.
To curb paid news, we deploy the DEO to constantly monitor media content before the telecast and regulate the opinion polls.
We introduce pre-censoring of social media to detect and stop objectionable content before it gets posted. Political parties offer rides to voters to their polling booths. Now, to eliminate undue influence, we propose a blanket ban on renting vehicles on the day of the election.
To ensure all candidates get free and fair approvals, we propose an online automatic approval system which will be free from biases and human intervention.
For increasing participation, we have categorized our solution into 3 stages. We follow the enable and encourage model across all the 3 stages. The first stage is registration. Through our primary research, we understood that EPIC has the least desirability amongst the youth, which is our core TG. To encourage desire of EPIC, we carry out campaigns highlighting its benefits and its USP vis-a-vis the other cards. To enable them, we make Forms 6, 7, 8, and 8A available at additional touchpoints like banks, schools, offices, and hearts.
Stage 2 begins after registration, wherein the voter ensures his name is there on the electoral rolls. To address this, we suggest cross-checking with the Aadhaar and PAN card databases for people not enrolled.
Stage 3 is the voting day. We realized EC should focus on reducing cost factor of voting in Mumbai. Accordingly, we propose that this model should be adopted across all wards, wherein the ward officer will collect primary data, using which the state CEO will arrive at a key focus area.
In addition to absentee ballot, we propose online voting for any constituency at nearest polling booth with VVPAT. We also propose for corporates to reimburse travel expenses for employees on a business trip. To address long queues, we propose to engage voters by educating them on the EVM usage, which will further reduce TAT. We suggest government medicos to serve on election duty to ensure participation of the elderly and ill.
To conclude, we believe that active participation by citizens today will contribute in strengthening our democracy in the future. Thank you.
You made a very interesting suggestion about banning or pre-checking the information being put out on social media. Do you really think it's doable? Will it not be, first of all, it's posted directly on servers which are outside the country. And second, will it not be treated as internet censorship?
It is definitely possible because we had seen several suggestions being done on that front previously by government officials. But to answer your second question, as in does it be a censorship on the internet? We do agree to that point that it is censorship in a certain way, but considering that this election is very important to the national, it's an event of national importance, and for that, and we suggest that during the model code of conduct, it is imperative that you make this censorship available, because what happens is on social media, it's very easy to for any post to go viral. So it's timing is of essence over here. So it's necessary that you make sure that such posts are prevented before they are actually posted, rather than doing damage control.
I have a very important question. If you don't answer this, I will not be able to sleep tonight. What is VVPAT, yaar?
So it's a voter verification paper audit tray. So what happens is when you
Okay, I got it.
All right.
I hope in your research you did not use things like this, because the consumer is aware of LBWs and all, but VVPAT might be a little too heavy.
Right, sir.
Have you concentrated a lot more on the urban side, on the more educated side? I see a lot of Google. A question was asked earlier about how about people who are not that educated? How about people who are in media dark areas? Did you consider them at all? Because if you look at the scope of the Election Commission, it should kind of cover everything.
increasing the participation is when you make the villagers actually enroll for a voting card. So for that, we are already doing is we are making the election forms, the voting card forms available very easily at the village hearts, and also increasing the awareness by spreading mobile vans across the villages. Now, the second problem of increasing the actual turnout on the day of voting, for that what we suggested is the Downs model. Now, by means of this, what we'll do is we'll do a small research in every constituency, and by means of that, we'll actually come to know that what is the key focus area that we have to focus on in that particular village. If it's that we have to reduce the voter apathy or we have to increase the awareness. So it's something which is very different from a village to village, from say a gender to gender, a city, say Mumbai to a Delhi, wherein the reasons for low voter turnout will vary differently from different segments. So that is where the model is very important. It comes into picture and gives you a whole solution to actually depict that what is the most feasible solution in that particular area.
Our elections are often described as the greatest exercise in democracy. Our electorate is described as a very vibrant citizenship who really know how to exercise their rights. So it frightens me that when we're talking about all of this, your thoughts are very Goebbelsesque. You talk about pre-censorship, you talk about banning, you talk about screening, pre-screening. This doesn't go with my idea of democracy. You talk about banning opinion polls and say that the small size of opinion polls is a bother. The debate is still out, whether it's the size or the sample quality that matters. So how do you arrive at banning that? Two, you talk about screening manifestos. So are you saying that a small group of people, however well-intentioned, however knowledgeable they are, will decide on what goes out to this large, huge mass of Indians, rather than letting that huge mass of Indians decide themselves? So I find a huge clash between what you want to propagate, that is democracy, and the solutions you suggested. They are frightening, really.
So to address your first query of banning on opinion polls, what we suggested is we'll regulate the opinion polls, and we'll ensure that the results of these opinion polls are not released until the voting has happened. Now what we've seen is that 15% of the voters can get actually influenced by these opinion polls. And if in case the opinion poll is not conducted properly, as you suggested that the sample is not representative, or there's been some bias in terms of the production team or the media partner adding some unscrupulous elements over there. So it can actually...
Should you call for a ban, or do you call for a regulation of how these polls are conducted? Regulation. Banning is an easy solution.
Yes.
And that's not what democracy is all about. Right. That is fairly dictatorial, isn't it?
Sure. So banning, we suggested, is on the results being declared of the opinion polls till the elections.
Okay. So you prefer a ban over regulation?
So you can regulate the opinion polls, but the results cannot be announced until and unless the voting process have been completed.
Thank you, JBIMS. Our final team tonight is not averse to winning. Champions of Season 3, the team from IIM Bangalore came a close second in Season 4 of Lime. Having proposed strategic roadmaps and innovative marketing solutions to Lenovo, this team from IIM Bangalore earned their very well-deserved spot in the finals. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Team 3 of a Kind from IIM Bangalore. Okay, as they say, winning takes talent, but to repeat, takes character. You have 5 minutes to make your presentation. At the end of 5 minutes, we'll sound the buzzer indicating the end of time. That will be followed by what I've seen so far, very grilling session with the jury. Your time starts now.
People in general felt that elections of late have been conducted in a fair manner, and instances of booth capturing and fake voting have been curbed significantly in the recent elections. Urban voters lag behind rural voters in terms of participation and are also a cause of concern. The key issues in urban India that deterred people to vote included: 1. They assumed a who cares attitude. 2nd, they migrated to a different city or a state. 3rd, they didn't feel connected to any candidate. For rural India, these issues were: 1. Migrant population. 2. Distant polling booths. 3rd, social constraints like discrimination faced by women and lower castes. While analyzing the election process, we came across 3 stages where EC faces the maximum challenges. 1. Voter list preparation. 2nd, enforcement of model code of conduct during campaigning. 3rd, actual conduct of election process. Taking cues from the current Delhi elections, we structured a solution to create free and fair polling election process by implementing a 2-stage approach. Stage 1, create pressure on political parties to give tickets to candidates with no criminal record. For this, we suggest: 1. Active dissemination of candidate profiles through detailed brochures in mass transport, billboards at polling stations with complete disclosure of their assets, qualifications, and criminal records, if any. Second, provide logistic support to independent candidates. Third, aggregate results from multiple polling booths at once before declaring voting trends. Stage 2, enforce model code of conduct through crowdsourcing. First, we suggest to use Ushaidi platform to encourage crowdsourcing. Users from different locations can report incidents of violation of model code of conduct to ECI server through a Ushaidi plugin or mobile app, which has been used across geographies for various monitoring and emergency reporting activities. To make the election process a hassle-free experience, we again suggest a two-stage strategy. Stage 1, simplify the entire process of voter registration. This can be done through registration facility by internet or call center facility, followed by door-to-door verification activity. Moving on to stage 2, to ensure participative elections, we suggest the following innovative solutions. 1, create campus ambassadors and teams as sustainable model to promote elections. Make these positions aspirational by incentivizing them through felicitations and career growth. Create a Vote for India brand on the lines of Teach for India brand. Encourage public-private partnership by ensuring any efforts by the private companies in this direction to be counted under CSR activity quota. Third, slightly disincentivize the educated class may also work. If government declares a holiday for the purpose of voting, only those employees who present proof of voting will be paid the day's salary. In order to cater to the needs of those who fail to vote for genuine reasons, promote the early voting concept that is prevalent in other geographies of the world.
Where does this political factor, the factor of political contest and candidature, I think that analysis is missing here. Where does it end? And the management interventions, education and awareness, where is, if in terms of percentage, where does one end, the other one begin? And what is the proportion of the importance of these two?
At the fundamental level, the political system is responsible for the majority of the candidate selection and the voting issues that happen. So I think 70% of what is happening today needs to be addressed at a level of the political parties and the political system. Only the rest 30% can be done through management and the other initiatives that we are proposing. However, we think that today there is rising awareness about what your vote can do, what your candidate will do for your country. So if this 30% is instrumental in raising the awareness level of people, then the pressure will automatically start building on the existing system to change.
So one of the issues that we faced when we are trying to analyze this case is the 25 lakh cap that exists. Many of the political parties that we approached, they said that this particular amount is not feasible. But when there was another line of thought wherein that said that if a candidate is working right at the grassroots, people do understand him, people do know him, and this amount is actually feasible.
Now, when I come to the participation, that's where, to my understanding, clinical doesn't work. You quoted teach for India. You really think that people teach for India? Or do they teach for themselves? There is a gratification that you get by teaching somebody. It is self-actualization. At that psychological level, have you tried to understand people who are not voting and what could be a motivator which is psychological, which might help them to come out and vote rather than a scheme where it's completely transactional?
There is one small bit of it that we actually considered, that is, why would I go and vote enjoying the entire process? So we looked at the fact that why would I go and vote? So once I am told that I am in charge of the destiny of my own country, I am shown that if I vote, it will affect my child. So we are creating a pressure from below. So for example, you vote, you are a proud father and your child is a proud child because my father is a responsible citizen. So this is one kind of pressure that we are trying to create so that people go and vote. The inner driver here is that I can do something better for my child. If I go and vote, the country will be better for my child tomorrow. So this can be one of the drivers that can take people to vote.
Thank you, IIM Bangalore. Thank you, jury. Please pen down your final results.
Yes, we had a wide range of questions and the judges were definitely very tough on us. We just hope that we've satisfied all of their queries and answered all of them to the best of our ability. Let's see what we have in store.
So somehow we're not very happy with what happened outside. So let's see. We're not very optimistic about our chances. Let's put it that way.
The judges seem to be pleased with bits and parts of it, but not so pleased with the rest. They grilled us on some parts. So let's wait for the results and let's see what happens.
The presentation went off very smooth. Then we had a lot of question and answers on all of our ideas, in fact almost on all of the ideas, on how we can implement and how we can ensure the enforcement of whatever we have suggested. So we were able to defend it very well, and at the end of the day we are very satisfied having answered the questions successfully.
I think the jury appreciated our analysis and they were quite positive about the way we went ahead analyzing the whole case. The questions, they definitely struck a different aspect compared to what we presented in our presentation, but I think we fared pretty well. They were convinced with our arguments, barring one or two questions, so I think we are positive on the whole outlook. Let's see how the results come up.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for, especially our finalist teams, has arrived. But before we announce the results, could we please have a round of applause for all the teams?
Can you please have Anant back on stage?
We also request Mr. V.S. Sampath, the Chief Election Commissioner and the CEO and Managing Director at Hindustan Unilever, Sanjeev Mehta, to hand over the Line 5 Scroll of Honour to our final team.
Okay, so I have the results with me. The third runners-up, JBIMS. Each member of the team gets a Lenovo mobile and other goodies from Lenovo and cash prize of 1 lakh rupees for the entire team.
Congratulations, Jamnalal Bajaj. We'd now like to invite the International Sales Manager of Frederic Constant, Williams Besset, to join the presenters on stage.
And the second runners-up is the team from FMS Delhi. Each member of the team gets Lenovo mobiles and other goodies from Lenovo, Frederic Constant Genie watches worth 75,000 rupees and a cash prize of 1 lakh rupees for the entire team.
Thank you, FMS Delhi. Now, who do you think is the winner of Lessons in Marketing Excellence Season 5? How many for XLRI? Quickly. And I am Bangalore. Wow. I must say.
Okay, so the audience is correct. The winners, I am Bangalore.
I am Bangalore has reclaimed the title.
You guys will get your chance. Can you please have the runners up on stage?
The first runners-up, XLRI Jamshedpur.
Each member of the team gets a Lenovo mobile and other fun goodies from Lenovo, Frederic Constant Genie watches worth 75,000 rupees and a cash prize of 3.5 lakh rupees. Congratulations.
Congratulations, team. Thank you very much, XLRI. Can we now have the winners of Lessons in Marketing Excellence Season 5? I am Bangalore on stage, please. Congratulations. Presenters request you to hand over the goodies to the winning team. Each member wins Lenovo laptops and exciting goodies from Lenovo, a Frederic Constant watch for each member worth 75,000 rupees and a grand prize of 10 lakh rupees. I am Bangalore is also going to represent India and participate in the Unilever Future Leaders League with 21 other countries across 8 markets in March this year. A huge round of applause for the winners. Thank you, team. Congratulations. Thank you, presenters. May we request Mr. V.S. Sampath, the Chief Election Commissioner, to now address the audience and tell us what he thought about our teams tonight.
These young minds and brains have attempted very valiantly to crack in 3 months' time. There were certain issues about which every group has made up its mind, made very decisive recommendations. And one area where I found everyone was talking about was hassle-free enrollment. It would be of interest for you to know that Election Commission has made it its mandate to ensure error-free, hassle-free enrollment. I am sure the result of this discussion here today would be served if Bombay can break the voodoo in the forthcoming election with a larger participation in terms of turnout. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was Mr. V.S. Sampath, the Chief Election Commissioner of India.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap on Lessons in Marketing Excellence Season 5. Thank you so much. It's been a great journey, hasn't it?
Yes, truly it has.
And been a great experience for all of us.
Yes, it's been a few months and a great learning experience for all of us. Until next year, keep it simple, silly.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.